me, mister, do you have the time? Are you so important that it stands still for you? Excuse me, mister, lend me your ear.
Hi Vicky, great to have you here with us today. First, tell me, you were born in Toronto of Greek parents, but then your family moved back to Greece when you were about 8. Why?
Hi, Chu. First of all, thanks very much for this interview. Well, as you probably know, I was born in Canada of Greek parents, and when I was 8 years old, we moved back to Greece with my family. That happened, mainly because my parents wanted to go back, because of nostalgia, as we say. Now, I'm going to sound like the dad from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but nostalgia is a Greek word. It's from the words nostos, which means the return trip, and algos, which means pain or hurt. So they were aching to go back to Greece, even though we were having a very good life in Canada.
What do you remember of Canada?
What do I remember from Canada and the Canadians? Well, first of all, a great part of my dad's family still lives there, so I can go there whenever I want. What do I remember? I remember lots of things. I remember a lot of snow, a lot of it. I remember my school. I used to go to Ridgewood Public School in Mississauga, Ontario. I remember our principal, Mr. Campbell, my teachers, Mrs. Miller and Mrs. Duffus, and all the great stuff we did. The books we read, the projects we did, I remember everything. I remember the beautiful fall, the colors, red, gold, yellow leaves, the best season in Canada. I remember lots and lots of stuff since I was little.
And the Canadians?
What I remember from the Canadians is that each person is a lovely mixture of nationalities. I remember our neighbors. Some of them were British, some Dutch, some Italian. I think that's what first started my my interest in multiculturalism, growing up among so many people from different nationalities, and that's why I think it's really important for education, that people never forget where they're from, also try to integrate in the society that they live in, but are more understanding and tolerant of people.
How many languages do you speak?
Well, properly, I speak English, which was the first language I learned. My parents spoke to me in English ever since I was born, because I was going to go to English school in Canada, every day English school. Then when I was about 7 or 8, I started learning proper Greek, going to Greek school every Saturday and with my mom every afternoon. So I speak 2 languages fluently, and I also speak Italian, which I learned in university. A little bit of French. I understand a lot, but I can't speak that well. And now I'm learning German, but I can't say that I've been very successful because I'm not a very good student. But I've promised to do it more methodically now.
And in what languages do you speak to your family?
Well, with my dad, I speak English. With my older sister as well. With my mom, I speak Greek. With my younger sister, I speak a mix of Greek and English. And with my niece and my nephew, my older sister's children, I speak to them only in English, and so does my older sister, because their dad is Greek, Belgian. He speaks to them in Greek, and when my niece was born, we read a book about bilingualism, and it said that the parents and the environment have to strictly keep their own language. For example, if I speak to them only in English, I have to keep it in English in order for them to learn properly. If their mom speaks to them in English, she has to continue that way. Their dad in Greek, and so on and so forth.
You know, I totally agree with that. I speak only in English to my son. I've been doing so ever since he was in his mother's womb. Okay, so you were schooled in Greece. You graduated in language and literature, and then you and your sisters started up a language school in Aonina. First of all, tell me, what is Avenida like?
What's Ioannina like, or Yanina as they also call it? In my opinion, it's a really beautiful city. About 120,000 people live there. It's really beautiful because it has a lake. It's called Pamvotida, and on Pamvotida is a small island, and it's the only permanently inhabited island in the world on a lake. You can go there by boat, and it's a really, really nice island with museums and lots of things to see, restaurants, cafes. There's also a castle in our city from the Ottoman Empire, which is also very nice. And there is a minaret, two minarets actually, from the Ottoman Empire. I think they're really beautiful architecturally.
Now, you had the school for about 8 to 9 years, so it must have been quite successful, right? What was its formula?
Actually, the school was running for 10 years because my sister Gina opened it when I was in my last year of university. I'm very proud to say that we were a very successful school. We got a lot of awards for being the most successful school in northwestern Greece and for promoting education. We had, apart from myself and my two sisters, we had 13 more teachers from many parts of the world, from South Africa, from Australia, from England, from Canada, from the States. And at the time of closing, we had 203 students of all ages because what our school was original for was that we didn't have large classes. We had 1, 2, or 3 students per lesson.
So why then did you decide to move to Switzerland?
Why did I move to Switzerland? Well, my brother-in-law, my older sister's husband, is a financial analyst, and he was working here as a partner in the company when he was offered a permanent job, so my sister had to leave Greece with her 2 children. And then I thought what I should do, and in the beginning I was thinking of going back to Canada, but that would be too far away from my family, so I decided to move to Switzerland. I love Switzerland because it's a combination of 4 languages, German, French, Italian, and Rätoromanisch. And it's a very multicultural country, very multicultural. There are people from all over the world here, especially in the big cities, and I really like that.
Was the move difficult?
The move was difficult in some aspects, as difficult as it can be when someone's moving from one place to the other. A lot of people here speak English, that's a good thing, so it wasn't that difficult in the beginning. But even so, I wanted to learn German. Now, it's not difficult to get to become adjusted here. It's a really nice country with wonderful people. It was just that I had to leave my family behind. I had to leave the school. I think that was the hardest part, but it's good that they can visit whenever they like.
Now, the million-dollar question: why did you and your sister start up a language school in Switzerland too?
Why don't we open a school here as well? That's a good question. Well, the idea is there, and you never know. But I don't know when.
Did you have to learn German when you first came?
Well, I didn't have to learn German for my work or anything, but I wanted to learn the language out of respect for the people who welcomed me so openly, for the country as well. And yeah, it's really interesting for me because there are 2 types of German. I live in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. There's Swiss German, which is the local German, and it's so interesting linguistically, and the sound is really fascinating. And also the people speak what they call High German, which is the German of Germany, and I'm trying to learn both.
And now you've just started a new job, right? Tell us about it, and what are your students like?
Professionally, this is my 3rd year, the beginning of my 3rd year in Switzerland, and in addition to my freelance work, which is the greatest part of my work. I teach at banks, companies, teenagers, little children, and the language school that I work at. This year I also started teaching at a college which prepares high school students for financial studies in the morning, and in the evening when I teach, we have people from all walks of life coming to improve their English or learn English or do a certificate, and it's really interesting because we have such a great interaction with them, and they're really funny and they ask a lot of nice questions. It's so interesting for me this year. It's the best year so far.
Now, Vicky, you must be one of the most active teachers in tweeters I know, with about 30,000 tweets or something. Tell me, when did you first begin tweeting?
Well, I started on Twitter in the beginning when I was here, and it was a little bit difficult. I was Googling ELT stuff, and the first thing it brought was Ken Wilson's blog. So I started reading Ken's blog and reading more about him. I knew him from the Follow Me books that he had written and everything, and I saw that he was on Twitter. I wasn't on any social media then. Apart from email, I had nothing else. So I was kind of lurking at the beginning. I was looking at their profiles, what they were writing. And then one day, I remember it was December, I decided to join, to make the big step, to take the plunge.
Who do you follow and what do you tweet about?
Well, the first people I started following were naturally Ken Wilson, Scott Thornbury, Shelley Terrell, Jamie Keddy, and Ozge Karaoglu. And in the beginning I was looking at what they were tweeting. I was a little bit wary of writing something in the beginning because I thought I might say something silly or so, but then I started retweeting blogs, links, putting my own stuff out there. And when I started my blog, it all just picked up from there. And I never imagined when I joined Twitter that it would become such a learning process for me. And I made a lot of friends from there. It's absolutely amazing. People, teachers especially, they have to join. They have to join.
In what way is Twitter important to you?
Twitter is really important for me. I say that it's as important as email, which I use to communicate with my students and with my employers. The first thing I check in the morning is my email and Twitter. And you'll see me tweeting throughout the day, in my breaks from school, on my way to my lessons, because I commute a lot. That's why I've bought a smartphone in order to tweet. And it's a very big thing for me. I've learned a lot of things. I've met a lot of people from it, and it has completely changed me as an educator, as a person, and I've made a lot of friends from there.
Now, Vicky, with all your whooping and your yipping and your yaying, you come across as a very lively girl, but yet you were quite a shy student, weren't you? So which is the real Vicky?
Well, yeah, I do a lot of yipping and yaying on Twitter and whooping and stuff, but yeah, I can say that generally I'm a shy person when I first meet people, though, and it depends on how open they are, and then I can open up as well. When they are open and very sociable, then I become that as well, and it's absolutely great because then we can have a lot of fun, we can laugh, we can whoop, we can do lots of things.
When you aren't working or tweeting or spending time with your niece and nephew, whom I know you love very much, what else do you do?
When I'm not doing any of that, I like going to theaters, I like going to museums and art galleries, and we have lots here in Zug and in Switzerland in general. I also like going to the library or to bookshops and browsing through the books. I spend time with my friends. I have a couple of very good friends here who are Swiss, and they only speak to me in German, which is good for my language learning. Yeah, generally I try to have as much fun as possible and relax a little bit because the schedule can be grueling at times. The good thing is that I like my work, but you're human and you can get tired too, so I try to make the most of my free time.
My final question. If you had a crystal ball, you could gaze at your life in about 10 years' time, what do you think you would see?
That's an interesting question. If I look into a crystal ball in 10 years, I'm going to be almost 43 then. So I hope that my family and all the people that I love and myself are healthy, first of all, and that we're happy. I hope that whatever I'll be doing then, if I'm still teaching, which I hope so, that I'll be passionate about it and still love it as much as I do now. Generally, yeah. Whatever I'll be doing then, I want to be happy that I'm doing it. And I'd also like a small house with chickens and a dog. Yeah, I really like that image, yeah.
Alright, Vicky, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I wish you health and may you get your house, your chickens, and just keep that fire of passion burning. Alright, see you.